Welcome to Hebrew School from Homeschooling Torah. This is Lesson 6, and my name is Ann Elliott. Today we are going to learn 3 to 4 more consonants. I say that because one of them is the same look but has 2 different sounds, and then another vowel, a vowel that we use all the time and is super useful. Okay, let's go right into our new consonants today. We're going to start with the one that has the numeric value of number 80. And this one is a pay or a fay. Now it makes both of the sounds. So I'm going to draw it first and let you understand why it's making these sounds. We have a pay with a dot or a dagesh, and then we have a fay, which does not have a dagesh. And this one, okay, so remember I've said before, if it has the dot, that's going to be like a hard sound, like p. And if it does not, it's going to be a soft flowing f. Okay, so the dot sort of stops the sound. P, pay and fay. Okay, that's how I remember it. Now, this one comes from a word that means mouth or face. And so you can kind of see it. I like to imagine this little guy's got, here, I'll draw it over here. And he's got, you know, his eyeballs and his nose, and there's his mouth, and the food goes in his mouth, and you eat it, and, you know, looks like a little. So this is a pay and a fay. And he makes, with this one, the letter P, and with this one the letter F. Okay, so this is a very useful one. This one also has a sophete and an ending form, because when it comes at the end of a word, in ancient times there weren't all the spaces that we have today. So let me show you in the block lettering. Here's a block, and I'm going to show you when to go around. This is the normal one. Okay, kind of looks like Pac-Man. And then if we do the block lettering and we do it at the end of a word, we're going to go around and down, okay? Because we need that little hangy down part so that we can tell it's the end of a word. The interesting thing about it is it's always a f sound at the end of a word. We don't use the dot, the dagesh one at the end of a word. So that's kind of handy. This one would always be at the beginning or in the middle of a word. So when you see the sophete ending, you can always make a f sound. So that's a little bit. Let me just show you again how to draw it. We start in the middle of the face and go around, kind of like a little Pac-Man. So that is a pay or fay. So real quick, I want to go back and just review the differences between some of these letters and how the dagesh and various ways that you can get confused. So we learned way back several weeks ago about a beit versus a veit. See the difference? One of them has a dagesh and one of them does not. We learned about a COF with a k, when the dagesh in the middle, and we had a ch, like that. Okay, and again today we have a pay and one without, which is just a fay. Now a lot of them have the sophete ending, so let's review those. We had a COF, and then we have one that goes like this, and notice it does not have a dagesh. All right, these sophetes don't have dageshes. Dageshes? I don't think that's how you say it. All right, and then we have a mem, which we remember making, and then a mem at the end of a word. It's like a measuring cup. It's holding the water here, and the water is not going to be able to be held. So here at the end of a word, you're going to close up that measuring cup so the water does not escape. We had a noon last time. And then at the end of the word, it goes down below the line. And so it's really important that it does that so it doesn't get confused with a vav. All right, today we have a fay or a fay sophete, which has the hanging down part so that, you know, you can tell. Now, notice how similar these two look. I think they can be confusing. You have to get the little nose in the face there, and that helps a lot. And then we have a Zadi, which is going to be the very next letter that we learn. This isn't the normal way I introduce things, but I want to draw it first so you can see. This is the one we're going to learn really quick here. This one also has a sophete ending, okay? So let me come back to this one. But those are all of our sophetes that we have learned, and also the words that are the letters that have a dagesh in them. There are more letters that have a dagesh, and we're going to talk about those in a little bit later. So let's learn the next letter, and this is a Zadi. Sometimes it's pronounced, well, hold on, it's the number 90, Zadi. And there are two ways to make it. The regular one, it looks like a man who is praying and he has his arms uplifted. He's just kneeling down praying. And sometimes this word means a righteous person, Zadik. Some people even pronounce this letter instead of a Zadi. Let me write that out, Zadi. Some people pronounce it Zadik because it's a righteous man. And so it's very common to think of this as a righteous person. It helps me to remember what it looks like. Now, let's see if he comes at the end of a word. He's going to, let me get those blocks up there so you can remember that this is going to fill a block, okay? And if it's at the end of a word, it's just going to be like that, okay? And he hangs down. And so the difference is he's still a righteous person, but now he's at the end of his prayers and he's standing up with his arms uplifted, and he is a righteous man who's spent time in prayer. But those are silly ways maybe to remember what it looks like and how to say this word. Now, that's not what it meant in the ancient pictograph. In the ancient pictograph, it meant to hunt. So let me write that up there. Or to lie on one side, maybe even to ambush someone. So you can see that here, this man is doing spiritual warfare. He's praying, but he's hunting down the enemy. But if you were out, honestly, seriously, let's not be silly for another moment. Let me go and just look at the ancient way of writing it. This does look like a man who's lying on his side, or he's out crouching in the grass, hunting, ready to shoot his bow and arrow at a deer or whatever he's hunting that day. So this makes the sound of pizza, the ts sound, tzadik. If we were writing it in English, we would write it ts. So pizza. So tzadi has that at the beginning, and it has a ts, pizza. Okay, that helps me to remember. All right, let's do another word. The last number I'm going to do today is the number 100, which is awful fun to get to. And this is the letter kuf. So some people pronounce this kof or kof. I like to say kuf because I can get it mixed up with this one, which is yod kaf kaf. And I don't want to get it mixed up. And kuf is a perfectly acceptable pronunciation of this letter. So that's what I'm going to do today. And to write it, I'm going to make, first of all, a little like this. And then my come down, okay? Now, a long time ago in the ancient Paleo way of writing, this may have been, and I say may because there is some evidence of it, but not a solid evidence, but it was more on its side or even like that. And the pictogram is a symbol of the sun at the horizon, or time ending, the day coming to a close. Sometimes it even represents a circle, which is super fascinating because in modern times, some of the letters would be written like that. And that looks like the sun at the horizon. Coming to the end, the sun is going to circle back around to sunrise in the morning. So this is the sun at the horizon, the ending of the day, or the gathering of the light. So that helps me to remember it. So, oh, I didn't tell you the sound for it. Let me put it up here again. It's a kuf, and we get our modern letter Q. And again, you can see that if you were to put that on its side, and that's the letter Q. So you can kind of see where these have evolved over the many centuries into the letters that we have right now. Let me draw this inside a box so that you can see this is not a Sophite letter. It's not going to hang down, and that would be so confusing. You're just going to write it here and then have it just go to your baseline, okay? It's not a P either. It needs to have a little bit of an opening. I should have drawn the top first. Draw the sunshine first and then the horizon. All right, it's a little bit tricky sometimes to write, but there's a little opening in there. I'm going to show you real quick on the screen what it would look like in a printed text as well. And so think to yourself right now as I'm showing that, what letters could you get confused with on this? Okay, I had some trouble erasing my board, so I went ahead and erased it all, and then I just remembered that I really didn't tell you much about the sound that a kuf makes, okay? So it's like this, and it reminds us of our modern day Q, but unlike in English that always has a qu sound after it, and we think of a Q as being like a qu, that is not true in Hebrew. It is just the sound of the Q by itself, a k. So, if you were to go over to Greek or Latin, you would find that has evolved into our modern day K, which is a little bit confusing. And so I just like to make a K sound, as in kuf, just like it sounds when you make the K for kuf, okay? So I hope that helps. There's a lot of similar letters in Hebrew that can make the same sound. We've learned different ways to make V's with both a veit and a vav. And now we've had a chaf, and we've had a chaf, or a COF Sound, and now we have a kaf with a dagesh in the middle. Here, let me make that a little bit darker. And now we have a kuf, which also makes a k sound. So there are some others as well. We have a samik. We've got a so there are some more. We also have a tate that we learned. That's kind of hard to see. Sorry, this marker board is not giving me, it's not liking me today. And then we have a tav, which we learned when we learned way back at the beginning. We were learning that's the last letter in Shabbat. So I'm trying to think. We have, we learned a sheen, and later we're going to learn a seen, which is going to be similar to our samik that we learned last week. So there are just a lot of similar letters. We do the same thing in English if we stop to think about it. I think, again, my best advice for just reviewing these letters and the sounds that they make is to go through our flashcards often. So I'd like to teach you a very important Hebrew vowel. I'm going to switch a marker again and see if this works better. So I'm going to teach you the holem. Holem is spelled like that. And this one makes the O sound. And there are some really fun ways to do this. We have learned so far that the vowels go underneath a consonant, okay? And you've got various consonants that don't make any sound at all, and you can still put a vowel under them. The holem is the vowel that is different from all the rest. The holem is written beside or even above. So let me just, it makes an O sound, and one of the most common ways you see it is to actually write a vav, but the vav this time is taking on a vowel sound. It's not going to say v, but we're going to put a dot above it, and that vowel sound now says O. Now I like to remember it like this. If that dot is up on top on the head of the vav, I say O. Okay, so that's how I remember it. Oh for holem. All right, sometimes you can write it without a vav at all. I shouldn't have that on there. And it's just written as if there were a vav silently there, but not written. And it's just a dot. So again, this is the only vowel that has that vowel dot up in a different place. It's up high, like O. Okay, there is going to be a vowel soon that we're going to show you that makes that is not underneath, but this is the only one that's up high. So that really helps me when I see that one that's up high. I go, oh, okay. So I'm trying to get that into your mind. The holem, it can be written in both of those ways, and it is correct. Sometimes if you are in Hebrew and you don't have any vowels at all, they will put the vav there, and it's just supposed to mean O, or it can mean some other things too. So it's all about the context. Let me see. We're going to write some words and see if you can practice pronouncing them. Let's write the word pay, which means mouth, and it's going to have a dagesh. Can you sound that out? Pay. Now, it feels like this is silent. I'm not really making much sound with that at the end. Kind of like if you were thinking of a English word that has like ha. All right, ha, ha, ha. And we don't even write that H on there most of the time. We just go like that. But in Hebrew, a lot of times the he will be at the end of a word, and it is a closed syllable, pay. But we don't actually say it that slow and that pronounced. It's just pay. Okay, let me do the word for month. We're going to start with a chet, and then we're going to put a dot, but no vav. You could put a vav and it would still be fine. Then we're going to put a dalet with that segol with sound under, as in pet, and then we're going to put a sheen. And this is the word for month. So we've got an open syllable, ho, and then a closed syllable, desh, chodesh. Okay, let's do some more. Let's do the word for matzah. I'm going to put this over here so I can see a little better. All right, we've got a mem, patach, and then let's put the one that we learned. It looks like the man praying, and it's matzah, almost like we would say pizza. All right, matzah. Interesting how this again is a closed syllable, but we're just going to say it so quickly. Matzah. Let me spell that out if we were transliterating. T-Z, matzah. Okay, or you could just spell it without the H as well if you're transliterating. So that's matzah. We know what matzah is. That's the unleavened bread we eat at Passover time, right? Matzah. Okay, let's do righteous. We talked about this word before. Tzadik, and we're going to spell that for you. We're going to put a Zadi. And what sound do you think should be underneath that if it's going to say ah? It could be either kamatz or a patak. We're going to put a patak. Okay, and now we need zad. All right, we're going to put a dalet. And this is a closed syllable, and then you're going to see something interesting right here. You see that right there? That just means that it's a different kind of dagesh. And honestly, a dalet can have a dagesh, as we talked about way back in the video where we introduced it. In old times, it would have been like a DH sound, but we don't do that anymore. So but it also can be that we are going to write two D's if we were transliterating it like a double letter. So that's just an interesting little tidbit to keep in mind. Let's put a Kirik Yod on there, and the Kirik Yod is going to say E. So Tzadik. Oops, I need the K sound. So what are some of the consonants that we've learned that have a K sound? Well, we learned one today, which is the Kuf, Tzadik. Okay, I need to make sure I don't let that guy be too long because he is not a Sophie. We're ending, but anyway, Tzadik. Now let's look at righteousness. Okay, righteous, this is the word for righteous, a righteous man. And now let's look at righteousness. And it's going to be almost exactly the same. I'm going to put the vowels in there. Now, I'm sorry, I'm going to put the consonants in there. And now I'm just going to change the vowels. This time, I've got this one and this one. And how would we pronounce that? Same consonants, just only thing that's changed is the vowels. Would be Zedek. All right? Zedek is righteousness. Zadik is a righteous person. So that's interesting. All right, let me show you the name of a famous person in the Hebrew scriptures, and that would be Moses. Let's see if we can write his name. We're going to practice with me. What consonant makes a M for Moses? By the way, his name in Hebrew is Moshe. So let's see if we can do it. Moshe. So we've got Mem. What's going to say O? O. I'm going to put a dot up there. Mo. Now this is interesting. He's going to share a dot with that sheen that we've already learned. Moshe. Moshe. Actually, it's going to look like that. Moshe. And we need to put that, close that syllable. Moshe. All right. Now they say it quicker than that. Moshe. So that's so interesting how we pronounce something very slowly. But if you saw those dots, could you do that? Could you go Moshe? How would I know that that dot is going to be the Cholem vowel and not just the sheen dot? Well, I know because there is nothing under there. There's no vowel. So I have to have a vowel in every syllable, right? We talked about that way back in lesson 1. So we cannot go up here. Now, that dot is also used for a sheen. Moshe. Okay, so we're going to have some tricky ones with sheens in the next lesson, but that's a pretty cool way to get some practice. I think that is a really good time for you to practice writing some English words into Hebrew, sound them out, see if you can figure out what vowels and what consonants go in. Here are some of the words that you could do. You could try matzah again, and pizza. Of course you're going to need to do pizza, and you've got all of the consonants you need for this. How about the word low, like set something down low near the floor? Or pot, stir the pot. How about goat or goal? Okay, a goal post, and the goat ate all of my laundry on the clothesline. How about pole? Put the flag up the flag pole. How about seeing if you can spell Coca-Cola? kola. And try to use the new COF that we've talked about today. Okay, how would you spell that with that? So those are some words that you can work on this week. We are very, very close to learning our entire alephbeit. Don't forget to go back and review. You're going to copy all of the letters you've learned today and the new vowel, the holem. You might want to make a line with just holem. Let's say you're going to do it like that. And then maybe another line where you do the holem with a vav going, oh. Then you can practice making those vowels both ways. Don't forget to practice your flashcards, sing along with the Hebrew alephbeit songs so that you've really got those letters down, especially these new ones that haven't had as much time to practice them. Don't forget to open up your Hebrew Tanakh and find all of the consonants and vowels that you've learned so far. It'll be fun to see if you can find some of these new ones especially. Shalom.